Nice Honda! This, ladies and gentlemen, is my supercharged 1990 Mazda Miata with one important feature for safety, and that's the roll bar. Before we get into the performance, let me tell you about the ingredients that make up this Miata. To start with, we have the Sebring M45 supercharger for a 1.6 liter engine. Feeding the air to the supercharger is a DDM Works cold air intake. A Big Eye adjustable fuel pressure regulator keeps the correct amount of fuel going at all times under boost. An Innovate wideband air fuel ratio sensor is set up, as well as a Bosch boost gauge. Power is being put to the ground by a set of 15x8 NK RPF 1s with Continental Extreme Contact tires that are 205/50 15s. The wheels and tires are being pushed into the ground by a set of Flying Miata VMAX coilovers Extreme Edition. A set of sway bars on both the front end and the rear end are now replaced with the Flying Miata version as well. Reinforcing the backbone are frame rails, again from Flying Miata. Here's a quick rev when we are not under load. But when we're under load, it sounds entirely different in a good way. So how does it sound? Well, it sounds a whole lot faster than it is. But, in my opinion, the actual noise it makes isn't too bad either. But really, how fast is it? I'm sure you can smell that burned up clutch, so my bad on that one. But for scientific purposes, let's run it back one more time. Well, I screwed it up again. This time we had wheel spin. But it is what it is. I'm not a perfect driver. But in both cases, we're in the sixes. So this car does have some peppiness to it, which is great. Now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy some supercharger sounds. There is some more video beyond the supercharger sounds, but honestly, I enjoy the sounds a lot. So remember, this car is 30 years old. So I'd like to take a moment here, step back, and do a little history of what the Miata has been over those 30 years. The year is 1989. My younger sister is about to make her debut into the world. But for everyone else in the Chicagoland area, it's your classic cold, snowy, and miserable winter. But with every winter, there is an event that can warm up even the coldest of days. That is the annual Chicago Auto Show. This footage is from 1988's auto show, which needs to disappear. It was a terrible show. So, to make up for that, in 1989, we saw some amazing, iconic cars for the first time. This is pure muscle, the Dodge Viper. Not to be outdone, the Japanese showed up with the Acura NSX. And after 30 years, we know how well these iconic cars are doing. Cancelled! NSX, gone! It should have stayed dead. Don't get me started on the new one. Dodge Viper, also gone! But there was a third car that was not canceled that debuted 30 years ago at the Chicago Auto Show. Sorry, fanboys. It's not that nice RX-7 that's right there. It's the car that's in the background. It's the Mazda MX-5. Or after 30 years running, what we now call and love the Mazda Miata. Now this is Mama Miata. This is the first time she's been in the supercharged car. So I just want to do a quick little second gear pull here and show her what it's working with. So unfortunately, the Mazda Miata is not really faster than a minivan nowadays, but if you hit it just right, you can see a little Mama Miata. She's holding on for dear life, so it does have some kick, which makes me happy. Just a side note, it's a lot harder than I thought to drive and talk to camera simultaneously.
And with power, you always want good brakes. Good brakes are your friend.
So how does our little boosted Miata compare 0 to 60 times to the later Miatas? Well, the following generation's engine with the 1.8 for years 1994 through 97 is about 8.4 seconds 0 to 60, so we've got that beat. The following generation, which is known as the NB, which also had a larger 1.8 engines, takes about 7.9 seconds, so we're still winning there. The third generation, the NC, which is known as the boat, but it does look really happy, takes about 6.9 seconds, so we're nipping at the heels there. That might be just based on who gets a better start. But finally, the most recent Miata, the ND, we are going to lose to. The ND takes about 6.4 seconds 0 to 60. So, for 30-year-old technology, we're still doing pretty well. And I'm not just saying that because I'm 32 years old. So could we make the Miata faster? Absolutely. We could get it tuned, for example. We could get a new rear end in it. We could get an exhaust system. But as you know, this channel is called Miata Money because I'm out of money. Exactly how much money? Well, I have been keeping track of that over about the last 5 years. So to start with, the car itself, which was a complete shell, was $200. We spent $500 on the engine. We spent about $1,250 on the supercharger. We spent about $900 on the wheels and tires. We spent about $500 on the coils, the frame rails, the sway bars, the roll bar, put it all together, again about $800. You start throwing in some odds and ends like the wideband fuel gauge and radiator, that's another couple $100. And after 5 years, we spent about $5,000 in this thing. And that doesn't even include the zip ties I use to keep my bumper secured or the free bird poop which finds its way in here. But honestly, I don't regret it at all. So, with that being said, I'm going to close this up and let you listen to some sounds of the supercharged Mazda Miata.